a super speedy search tool for your Mac. Today on Call for Help.
Good to see you. Welcome. It's Call for Help time. Come on, everybody. Come on. This is the show where we help you get the most out of your technology, and we help you buy it. We help you fix it. We help you get rid of it if you can't fix it. And we explain all those terms, and I don't care if it's a computer or the internet or a cell phone or a PDA or an MP3 player, digital camera, camcorder, home theater. I don't care. This is the show where we do it. Aren't you glad you're here today? I promise you'll go away in an hour a lot smarter. Maybe not smarter, but you'll know more about this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, my call for help-ettes. Ike's got his Ikeettes. I got the call for help-ettes. Andy Walker and Amber MacArthur. Hey, guys.
Hey, Leo.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Looks like you got a new Macintosh.
Yeah, I got a new PowerBook,
oh, that's
which I
nice.
absolutely love.
Oh, I thought that was a window opener or
That was a good one.
just I don't know, to prop open windows.
Andy's dealing with some jealousy issues right now.
Wait a minute, he's got a Mac too. Everybody's got a Mac.
I got a Mac.
I'm slowly winning you over bit by
yeah,
bit.
you are. I don't know. Every time you turn up there with these like Apple logo nonsense thingies, and I go, "What the hell?"
You know, it's funny on the they've changed. They turned the Apple around. For a while, the Apple was facing you, and then now they face it because it makes more sense.
So that when you're in a coffee shop or something, it's an ad.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I am very taken with my G5 iMac. I quite enjoy it. Yeah, I do.
Good.
It hasn't replaced my PC, but I like having it around.
It.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons that we all have Apples is because this show is mostly about Windows and mostly about fixing people's Windows problems. And you kind of, when you go home, you just kind of want to leave that stuff behind, I don't
That's
blame
true.
you. Andy's going to talk about some tools you can use to fix your Windows problems.
We all know about Norton System Works, correct?
Yeah.
Well, a viewer actually asked me to look at an alternative, Fix-It Utilities 5 from VCOM. You may know them. You said V.
They've been around for ages, yeah.
So we're going to have a look to see if it's as good as Norton System Works.
Sometimes the biggest, best known is not necessarily the best product. In fact, that almost seems always the case. A lot of times the little guys can come up with more innovative, interesting stuff. So we'll check it out.
But it was worth a look because it's actually cheaper.
Yeah, all right.
So we'll have a look at it.
A review from Andrew. And you've got a little, what are you going to talk about, Spotlight?
Yeah,
Is that
I'm
what
going to
you're
talk
talking
about Spotlight, and show a few little tricks that you can do in Spotlight.
Spotlight's very cool.
It's very cool. So for anyone who doesn't know, that's the new Mac operating system, Tiger. Comes with Spotlight, and it's one of my favorite features of the upgrade.
It's the hot thing right now in computers in general is this idea of desktop search. And for a long time, I think we tried to find things by categorizing, folders and filters and getting everything in order. And we did the same thing with the internet. Remember with Yahoo, when the internet first took over and the web took over, we said, "Oh, Yahoo, that's how we'll do it. We'll do it in a hierarchy. We'll have categories, and we'll have categories within categories, and everything will fit in 16 categories." Well, we learned pretty quickly that didn't work. And that's when Google kind of said, "Oh, well, no, you don't need a category.
Exactly.
You type in a search term." Well, we're learning the same thing on the desktop.
Yep.
On Windows, of course, you've got your Google desktop search. My favorite, which is Yahoo desktop search. Which one do you use on Windows, Andy?
I like X1.
Well, yeah, X1 is my favorite. But that's a commercial product, and Yahoo is pretty much the same as X1.
It uses the X1 engine.
Yeah.
MSN's just launched a desktop search, which I've been playing with so far.
That's not so good.
I think it changes how you use your computer because you don't, or in your email too, because you don't care anymore about categorizing. You just dump it all in there. I don't need to get somebody's email address into my address book anymore. I know, well, I'll just keep that email, right? And then if I can find it quickly enough, and you can with both Spotlight and X1, you just type a few letters and
it
boom.
finds it as you type. It's great.
I
love that.
It really changes how you use your computer. And now the next step is what they call enterprise desktop search, where you do the same thing if you're in a business across the whole business.
That'd be cool.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
They've already got that with directories, but now they're going to do it with all your data.
So you could see like everybody's files.
Yeah.
In your team, for example.
Well, yeah, you'd have to have permissions and so forth to keep people from snooping into the boss's files, salaries, history. We don't want to do that. But I think it's really it's just a shift in how you think about data. We don't have to organize it. We don't have to hierarchy. We have enough power and speed in our computers now that we could just type in what we're looking for.
Well, it's at about time because,
we had to do
the old way. There's so much information out there that you need a quick way to access it all.
Had to do it. Yeah, well, I think Google was the revolution. Yeah. I'm excited about your guest. Bill Buxton's coming in.
Yes, Bill Buxton is here, and I went to see actually an exhibit called Massive Change, and what it was, Bill Buxton actually had part of the exhibit where he showcased some gadgets and the history of gadgets and how they have kind of evolved and changed. And so we're going to have an interesting time with him.
History of gadgets and design.
And
too,
design.
Which is, I think, really an interesting area. You know, people ignore design because they think, well, you know, it's a technology, piece of technology, but really design is what tells you whether you can use it or not, whether it's easy to use or not. And that's very, very important.
Very
Maybe the most
interesting.
important. Yeah.
For sure.
Let's get it is call for help. So let's get our first call of the day on here.
All right, we have Tony on the line from Gore Bay, Ontario.
Hello, Tony!
Hi, Leo.
How are you today?
Hi, Andy and Amber.
Hello. Say hello to Nicola. Our lovely Basil's in Hawaii this
Oh, my
week.
goodness.
Yeah, so Nicola has kindly consented to take over.
Oh, okay.
How are you, Tony?
I'm good. I'm good now that the good weather's here.
Is this good weather?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is up here on Manitoulin Island.
You had to convince me. What is it, 8 degrees now?
No, actually, it's in the mid-50s.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
it's
That's
pretty good.
balmy. Balmy. Yeah, well, I have to say, you know, when I came up here this time, I thought, oh, it's going to be spring or almost summer, really, in Toronto. I don't have to bring a jacket or anything.
Yes.
I had to bring a jacket. I should
Yeah.
have brought a jacket. It's still a little chilly.
Yeah.
Of course, it's winning winter for our Australian viewers now, so
Yeah.
you know, it just depends where you are.
Yeah. Well, we can laugh at them for a while.
What can I do for you, Tony?
Well, I have a question that's one of those little things that you can't, you know. I acquired my new computer is someone else's old computer, okay?
Right.
And I'm running XP Home.
Okay.
So now I want to back up.
Yeah.
Right? And you back up the documents and settings file, right?
Very
That
good.
Takes care of everything.
That takes care of everything, yeah.
But the thing is, hit the username I want to replace with my name, and I can't manage to do it.
Oh, it's...
And I think it might cause me a problem later on if I back up and, you know, now and then, you know, somewhere
Right.
down the road, you know what I mean?
You'd like it to be your name, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. By the way, I just want to show, because did you learn that from us, or did you just know that yourself, Tony? That backing up documents and settings, because that's really good.
Well,
Smart.
you know what it is? My last computer, I had when I acquired it, it was also secondhand, right?
Yeah.
So I had it get Windows blown out and reinstalled.
Right.
And I had to look at my name spelt wrong the whole time.
Oh, I hate that.
T-O-N-Y.
Oh,
which
man.
is the masculine.
That's not Tony. That's Tony.
That's the masculine
Yeah.
spelling of it, right? So now here I am again, right?
Let's fix it.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I'd like it to reflect. I would like to personalize it, right?
All right. Well, let's see. Now, I think you can change it. Have you gone to the user accounts control panel?
Yes, I can't. It doesn't allow me to do it.
You can't click change the name?
No, because you can't mess with it. You can't rename it because it's a system file.
Oh, you're playing as administrator, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Let me just check. Because if you're the administrator, can you change? No, yeah.
No,
okay.
you can't.
It's only on regular accounts. I get it. Okay.
You can't do anything.
Yeah. So let me just show you the difference here. I'm in the user accounts control panel. On a normal account, even if it's an administrator level account, there's a change the name button. But you're operating in the root account, the administrator account, the first account that's created. You know what I would recommend is creating a user account anyway. You probably don't want to be operating in
I've
this
done
account.
that. I have a user account in my
And that's
name.
Tony, T-O-N-Y. So you're still, this administrator, you don't like the fact that it's called administrator.
No, it's not that. Here's the thing, right? If I go into my documents and settings folder,
Yeah.
here's what it comes up, right? Documents and settings.
Yeah.
The old username.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And
I would just like to replace that old username with mine in the documents and setting folder.
Yes. I'm just going to see if there's a hidden control panel, the control user passwords. Let me just see if we can change the name. Yeah, we can change it here. So here's what I'm going to suggest. This is kind of a trick. Sneaky. Now, I'm pretty sure you can do this on home. So you're going to click Start and Run. And in the Start Run, you're going to type Control. This is weird. This is a hidden control panel.
Okay.
Control space. That's how you.
Sorry?
Control space, which starts the control panel.
Okay.
And then User Passwords 2.
What?
And that opens this control panel, which you've never seen before.
Right.
It has some nice features, like you can uncheck this box that says enter a password to use this computer, which I like, if you're the only user. And if you click on Administrator and select Properties, now you can change the name.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So I can make the administrator be Leo instead. Let's see if that does it and apply. Yeah, and now it's Leo, not the administrator. Oh, I'll be danged. Now, I wonder if that changes it permanently or if that's just maybe gives me an extra login.
You know what I'm afraid of?
What?
Okay, so now...
Yeah, see, it didn't change it for the folder name.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
No.
So that gives you the log. You know, what I would say is create. You always need this administrator account. I would just create a new administrator account.
Yeah.
And then log into the old one. Copy the stuff over that you want.
Okay, I've tried that, and you just end up with 2 files exactly the same, because you cannot get rid of that file with the old user.
Because it's the administrator. You may not be able to delete the root administrator account.
Right.
We might have to go in the registry to change that, huh? That's interesting.
I've changed in the registry the username.
And it doesn't change it either, huh?
Yeah, I've done that.
What if we change it in properties here? It's a Windows system required, cannot be moved or renamed. Well, they tell you that right there, don't they? Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're stuck. Now, what is the name on it? It's not administrator. It's some other name.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh, yeah, it's the name he entered when he first installed Windows.
His name, Ken.
Ken.
Yeah.
We don't want Ken there, but we do need that administrator. That's the irony of that is you can't change. I think you might have to reinstall Windows to change that.
You think?
Now I'm thinking that. Let me keep looking on it. And, you got me on that one because it is the unchangeable fundamental base account which he named when he installed it, and it looks like that's the only time you can change that name.
Mm-hmm. I even changed the computer name.
Yeah, it's not that. It's
no, but thinking, right?
Yeah.
And I changed the computer name, okay, and now when I look back at the computer name, it's the computer name / Ken.
Yeah, Ken's going to be there.
I think his name attaches to everything.
I think until you reinstall Ken is part of your life. Let me look and see if we can find a tool or utility that'll do that, Tony. And if there is, I'll put it in the show notes. But as far as I know, because that is the name that the administrator account was created with when the first installation happened, I think you're stuck with that.
Really? Because, okay, I mean, I know I have heard, okay, it didn't work for me, but that if you boot up in safe mode, you have access to the security and tab.
Yeah. Well, or you could just turn off simple file sharing. That would also give you the security tab. But all that does is change permissions. You can make yourself have permissions for his files, but it doesn't change the name of the account.
That's right. It's just one of those little things that drives me nuts, right?
I don't blame you. Did you get a Windows disk with that?
No, I didn't, because it was
factory
installed, right?
Yeah, but there should be something.
No, because secondhand, I don't even have the...
You don't even have the certificate?
Pardon?
Well, what did Ken do with it?
I don't know.
Ken kept it for himself.
Maybe.
Well, let's Tony, I thank you. I don't have an answer for you right now. We're going to keep looking. Maybe by the end of the show we will. And I'll put it in the show notes, okay?
Okay, great.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank
you come
you
up with
much.
a stumper.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
You might have to reinstall to fix that, I think. What do you think, Andy?
I
think you have to.
I just look. Yeah, I got to think that perhaps there's a registry edit that you can probably make.
One would think.
But I've been looking for a freeware tool and I don't see anything.
Think so. I don't think you can. Maybe somebody knows. They can email us. Leo at callforhelptv.com. Coming up next, it may seem like technology is evolving so fast it's harder to keep up. After the break, we're going to hear from somebody who says the most important technology to study is not the gadget, it's the people who use them. More on this topic when Call for Help continues. Stay right here. Despite our increasing dependence on technology, our next guest believes it's more important to focus on humanities and the arts and less on engineering if we want positive progress in the future. I'm inclined to agree. Today we're joined by Bill Buxton, an expert with more than 30 years in experience in research and design of various technologies, Xerox PARC, and now here. So let's ask him what the road ahead looks like when it comes to our beloved tech. Now, Amber saw your exhibit, Massive.
Yeah, I had a chance to check out your exhibit and see all that, the Etch-a-Sketch and all these different little gadgets on the wall and kind of trace the history of handheld devices. So it was really, really interesting. And you say you have more than that.
Yeah, the problem is I always sort of grabbed everything to try and understand what was good, because everything's good for something.
Mm-hmm.
It's best for something and worst for something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick is not that something's better than a mouse. It's what is the mouse best for, and what's it worst for. And then as you get more and more experience, you start to understand the subtleties of design and what works for whom and for what. but at the same time, your basement fills up with all this stuff.
Right.
A lot of the problems people have with technology interfaces is they're designed not by humanists but by engineers, and they have a different kind of perspective on it. They get it because they're engineers.
Well, if you talk to most people, they'll talk about how fast technology is moving, but actually it's not at all from the user's perspective. And I think that what's really changing right now, more than the technology, is who's doing what, where, when, and with whom. So, for example, my 85-year-old father is all of a sudden sending me email. But the computer he's using to send that email fundamentally hasn't changed since 1982.
And the keyboard's the same as 100 years ago.
Yeah, and that bothers me less. But the fact that that the basic concept of the PC hasn't changed actually since 1981 when the Xerox Star came out is kind of depressing.
Really? You think what should be different?
Well, look at it this way. It's what I call the Rip Van Winkle syndrome. If Rip Van Winkle went to sleep in 1981 having used a Xerox Star, but also having a driver's license, and woke up today, he'd be just as able to drive today's computers as drive today's cars. So it'd be faster to get power brakes and all that sort of stuff.
But what's wrong with that? I mean, we know how to use it, right? It works.
Absolutely. That's. I'm not saying the graphical user interface wasn't a good idea. It was a great idea. That's why I hate it. Right? you don't have to worry about bad ideas. They just go away. Mm-hmm. The problem is, what about those great ideas that were great for the time but have passed their due date? They're harder to get rid of because they've got this inertia. So the reality is this. As long as you are convinced that the computer interface in 1981 was as refined as the car, then I'm with you. But I think the computer interface was more like the car was in 1900, not in 1992 or whatever, 1991.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Raskin did a lot of work with it, like Jeff Raskin on this kind of thing. Yeah, wonderful man.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing, just passed away.
Yeah.
The Canon Cat, for instance, was an attempt to be something completely different.
Yeah.
Right track, wrong track?
I think there is no single track. And one of the biggest problems is I think we should use the word future with a plural, just the same way we never say mathematic. We say mathematics because there's more than one future. And there's more than one solution. And the principal thing that's been holding us back is we've been making these machines one size fits all.
Yeah.
And this notion, as soon as we diverse, and so people talk in high tech about convergence. Nonsense. The convergence is only in the plumbing. And unless you're dealing with the crap going out and the stuff coming in, like in your home, that's not what it's all about. Divergence, and that's where Jeff was absolutely right in the stuff that he was doing, but not for everybody, but for the people he was doing it for.
What do you think? You talked a little bit about the iPod and the interface in the iPod. What do you think of that?
I think well, the first thing is which interface for the iPod.
True,
right?
Yeah.
And I think I just finished. I'm running a book, and I just finished a study and gave a talk out last week about the history of that, and it's interesting that about 3+ years it took for the iPod to become an instant success. I mean,
it kind of reached that tipping point recently.
But the critical thing was that there were actually 4 complete revisions of the design. It was the generation 4 that really took off, and it wasn't until last Christmas.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's gotten better. Actually, I preferred the mechanical wheel, but I just wish it had a little bit more damping. But it's funny in the sense that the iPod, it's the user interface that gets all the attention and the design, and yet that's what they revised.
Right. Yeah. That's what changed.
And that's what changed.
Yeah.
But the basic design was the same. The scroll wheel stayed the same, but where the buttons were and how they worked changed, and I think got better.
The reason they changed the wheel, though, was for manufacturing reasons, not user interface reasons. So you have to balance those, right?
After a fashion, but the movement from when they put the buttons up above the scroll wheel and then brought them down, that was largely a user interface issue. Okay. It's got a lot of room for improvement. I think but you can't talk about the design of the iPod by looking at the iPod itself. Perhaps the most significant thing about the iPod that nobody ever talks about is simply the fact that it has white headphones. That was one of the biggest innovations.
No, you're exactly right.
No, you laugh, but if
that's
you
the
watch,
trademark.
But I do some work with Trek bikes that design Lance Armstrong's bike, with the lead designer for Lance's bikes. And the thing is that you're watching the Tour de France when Lance is spinning to warm up, you never see the iPod. But anybody watches knows that Lance Armstrong has an iPod.
And kids are getting mugged because they're wearing the white iPod.
And so that's the converse. So they actually, now to be cool, you actually
switch them. I just switched mine,
right?
I have to say. Yeah.
And but it's subtle things like that, the details. But even just the ad campaign. And then there was other stuff that were part of it. Just the fact of Napster, the demise of Napster had a lot to do with that. The funniest thing was, I have this rule that if you can see a way to shoot yourself in the foot, then be clear that your competitors can as well, and if they can't today, they will tomorrow. So you might as well do it to yourself, so you can choose which toe you can live without and when you can live without it. And Apple actually did this for the first time, unlike with the graphic user interface. They were not just first to market, they were second to market, third to market, fourth to market. In fact, they weren't even first to market. They were not the first MP3 with a disc, even with a disc.
Right, far from
HP did one.
Absolutely.
But they came in, and before anyone had a chance to steal their thunder, they came with another one.
They fixed it.
They fixed it, and they fixed it fast, even when they could have milked the revenue at the early one. And that business process was as important as anything. They're doing to that industry what Dell did to the PC industry, but unlike Dell, that's just got the most boring products at all, but a great process. They have great process and great products, and it's this holistic thing of design, and that's what's going to bring us through.
Sounds like inertia is the enemy of good design.
Absolutely, and risk. And by the way, if Steve hadn't have failed with, say, like the iCube, he wouldn't have succeeded.
I have a cube, by the way. I'm proud to say.
You have to fail in order to succeed.
Yes,
because you can work that level of risk.
And shoot yourself in the toe.
Absolutely.
Just as one you can get rid of. I wish we had more time. Bill Buxton is a designer and a researcher concerned with the human aspects of technology. You can see there's a lot more there. He runs his own design and consulting firm and gives lectures all over the world. To find out more about his work, visit the homepage, billbuxton.com, and our show notes, too, with links to topics we discussed at callforhelptv.com. Speaking of the future, can you predict the answer to our daily quiz question? How fast is USB 2.0? Is it 12 megabits, 180 megabits, 480 megabits? Who cares? FireWire's better anyway. Get to the website, give us the answer, we'll talk about it when Call for Help continues.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for our Mac tip of the day. Here's how you close widgets in Tiger on your desktop. Click the Option key and roll your mouse over the widget, and then click the tiny X in the top left-hand corner. If you want to put the widget back onto your desktop, click F12 to access the menu of widgets. Click the plus sign at the bottom left-hand corner, and then access your widget again and put it back on your desktop. And that's it. And now we have another caller. We have Jason on the webcam from Windsor, Ontario.
Thank you, Amber. By the way, I want to show you before the end of the show, remind me, there is a security issue with widgets and the new Safari 2 in Tiger. And I've got to show you a very important setting that you have to change in Safari to protect yourself, but I'll show you that a little later on. Hi, Jason, what can I do for you today?
How you doing, Leo?
Oh my gosh, he's there. I'm doing great. Look at you in our new graphic. What can I do for you?
I've got a motherboard that has built-in RAID, and a little while ago I had decided to take the opportunity to use that, and I bought a second hard drive and hooked it all up, and it seems to run nice, seems to run stable. But when I did a HD TAC benchmark on it, it was a little underwhelming. I wasn't getting what I expected from it. It was only about 65 or so megabits a second for a transfer rate, which is almost.
Let me talk about RAID on desktop PCs, because it is a little disappointing. RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent or Intelligent, depending on who you talk to, disks. Basically, it's the idea of combining multiple disks for one of two reasons: redundancy, for backup, so if one of the disks fails, you've got a copy of everything on the second disk, or speed. They call that striping. And the reason that's theoretically going to speed up your system is because there is a certain amount of latency or delay when you're writing to a hard drive as the disk comes around. So you can write, and you have to wait till it comes around again, wait till it comes around. Well, if you stripe, you write to one disk and then write part of the data to the other disk, and then you can do it, interleave it in such a way that you don't have to wait for the disk to come around. Now, in the enterprise, both of these are used very commonly, and in the last few years, motherboard manufacturers have started to put RAID on your motherboard. But you're right, when it comes to desktop PCs, I don't think there's much of a benefit to either kind of RAID. In terms of backup, it's really disappointing, because if you use the mirroring RAID and a disk fails, it's a real pain. It doesn't just fail over to the one disk. You have to get another. It's a real pain. And with striping, you would think there'd be some speed benefit, but as you're saying, and as my benchmarks have shown time and time again, the speed benefit is minimal. It tends to be seen only when you are writing large files. So you don't see it on reading.
Yeah, I do a lot of video editing on it, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do that.
Yeah,
was
that's one
to
of the
get
few
really nice, throughput through.
Right.
I've got a all-in-wonder, so I do a lot of recording off the TV as well, and I wanted good performance. One of the other questions,
by the way, and I might just point out, by the way, that a TiVo and a PVR, many of the other devices, they write video, they read video, they pause, they're doing all this stuff all at once with a single disc. There's no RAID. So
they're also doing it with Linux. So.
Yeah, well, maybe that.
I've got Windows XP.
So, but that raises a very important issue. It's not just the hard drive subsystem; it's the holistic system, operating system, speed of the bus, speed of the memory, speed of the processor. All of that impacts it.
Yeah.
So just doing one little thing like RAID isn't necessarily going to give you a big boost.
Now, with the setup of it, and I mean that's one of the things I'd asked in my initial question. I've got parallel ATA RAID.
Yeah.
And the way I've got the two set up right now is both of them are masters on separate ribbon cables.
Generally, that's what you want to do.
That is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not required. It will work if you have the two drives on the same cable. But if you have
I figured that would cause crosstalk and...
Exactly.
So
exactly.
So I've got it set up optimally.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
It's not your fault. It's the way it is. It's a RAID on the desktop is a great disappointment, I think. And by the way,
it's bragging rights.
It's bragging rights, and it comes at. I've stopped using it. It comes at a price because if either one of those drives fails, the whole data race fails, and that means your mean time between failure is now halved because you're using two drives. So
I do a lot of DVD backups on my drive. That's a good idea. So if it goes kaput, it goes kaput.
If
and I just
anyone was going to benefit from RAID, Jason, it'd be you because you're doing exactly the thing it was designed for, which is writing large files. You'll see a few percentage points increase, nothing like what you would hope.
But nothing like jaw-dropping,
no.
Oh, wow, this is amazing, hair-blowing
You get more
stuff.
benefit by going out and spending some money on a Raptor 10,000 RPM drive than you would.
Yeah, they're about $350 a piece for the little ones. So
I went out and bought one, too.
Oh, boy.
Just because, and I was disappointed for the same reason. Jason, it's not you. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Take care. I'm glad we could actually flatten that because I think a lot of people get all excited and say, I've got RAID! RAID! But, you do get a benefit because when you stripe like that, when you combine the drives, the total size is the size of all the drives combined. Or actually the size of the smallest drive times the number of drives. So you do get more space, but at less reliability and not a huge improvement in performance. Hey, coming up, if your file management skills on your Mac aren't up to snuff, time to put a little tiger in your tank. Coming up next, speedy searching with Spotlight. Amber's got a tip for you. Stay right here. Welcome back to Call for Help. Well, everybody's talking about this new Apple operating system, OS X Tiger 10.4. And there's a lot of debate around here. Is it worth $150 Canadian, $129 US? You can, if you search around, you get it for around $90 US. I think it is. And I think one of the features that really makes it worthwhile is this new desktop search tool. We were talking about it earlier, Spotlight. As you type, it finds anything and everything on your computer, emails, applications, documents, you name it. Amber's going to show us some of the ins and outs of Spotlight. Have you been using it?
I have been using it, and I'm getting pretty lazy with my file management right now, I have to say.
Why not?
I know. Now I feel like I can forget all of those things I've been taught about good file structure and good file management because Spotlight can pretty much find anything that you put onto your system.
Apple's always had the Finder, but this searches into documents, into your emails.
Exactly.
And it's much faster than Finder was.
Exactly. I never used Finder at all.
It wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, it wasn't fast enough, and I find myself using Spotlight all the time.
Show us how.
So we're going to take a quick look. So it sits right up here in the top right, and it's a little magnifying Spotlight icon. What we're going to search for is rocket launch. So,
by the way, Command Space will also do this, so you don't have to take your fingers off the keyboard if you don't want to.
So I recently saw the Titan IV rocket launch down in Florida, which is really good at Cape Canaveral. And I knew that I saved a folder and had some pictures in it. So you can see as I type, it found it really, really quickly.
Now, if you press the Command key, it'll jump to the top hit, by the way.
Exactly.
There's a little shortcut that's kind of handy. Just press the Command key and then see it
it'll jump to the top hit right there.
Yeah, that's really handy.
Yeah, so we'll just do it one more time so you can actually see
Yeah, see how fast it is. R-O-C-K-E.
And then
it's narrowing it down as you type it.
As you type. So that's kind of cool just to watch that. So then, as you said, it has the top hit right here. So those are actually the pictures that I'm looking for.
Turns out to be it was the right guess.
Yeah, it was the right guess.
That's the I'm feeling lucky button if you use Google.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really, really great if you're looking for any files, photos, emails, those types of things. And you can also set it up so that it doesn't search some folders if you don't want it to search folders like your mail or something like
private
that.
Folders.
Yeah, so private folders. So that's also an option.
And if you had in iPhoto tagged Pictures Rocket Launch, you would have found those individual pictures.
Exactly, you found individual pictures. So the next thing we're going to look at,
I like this. It saves the search. You can click that menu again, and if you haven't done anything new, it'll still be there.
It'll save it, exactly.
That's really nice.
So another thing we're going to look at is in System Preferences. We're going to see the Spotlight search work within here. This is actually really, really cool. So if you go in here and you type, let's say I want to look for wallpaper.
Oh, I like it. Spotlights it.
Yeah, so it actually spotlights it in System Preferences, which is kind of a neat option as well. So you can pretty much find anything really, really quickly.
Okay. I like that.
The next thing we're going to look at, we're going to go back to my Rocket Launch folder, and this is something I actually went up to the Apple headquarters and did a little review of Spotlight with some of the people there, and they showed me this really neat feature. So if you find your photos in Spotlight, and if you want to select all of your photos, all you have to do is right-click and then view them as a slideshow.
Or command click if you don't have a right mouse button.
Exactly. So this is a really neat thing, and you can just flick right through the slideshow. That's actually, you can't see this very well, but like I said, I saw the Titan 4 rocket launch at Cape Canaveral, and it was very cool. So those are my parents. Yeah, so that's really
pretty sunset.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty. So that's also a neat option to use if you're looking for photos really, really quickly, and then you want to actually see them in slideshow, just to show someone. So you're sitting on your computer sometimes, and you say, "Hey, I have these great pictures from Florida."
But where are they?
Where are they? And then you want to show them to someone. And you're constantly going in and opening them, and there's no nice way to present them. So this is a really easy way to do that if you want to sit someone, grandma down at the computer and show her something.
It's one of those things that's deep. I mean, I've been using it now for a month, but as time goes by, you learn, that's a new thing.
Yeah.
You learn more and more cool
features. There's
so
so much that you can learn. And it searches applications, searches emails, and you can set it so it doesn't search some things if you want some things private, which are good if you're sharing your computer, even within your family, if you don't want it to search mail or things like that.
Spotlight.
So
you
it's
have
very,
to have
very
the
cool.
newest version of OS X, Tiger, to use it. You think it's worth the money?
You know what? I do. I have to say
too.
that it just saves me a lot of time because I'm able to just find things really quickly, and that's what I waste the most time doing on my computer.
I like that dashboard. I love Spotlight, but there's some also other features like Automator that are real power tools.
And Mail, Safari, RSS feeds.
I love
I know,
the Safari.
they're really, really great. There's so much to talk about.
We will. And before the show's over, remind me, we've got to show you how to secure Safari, a very important checkbox you have to uncheck. For more about searching, visit the Call for Help website, callforhelptv.com. The show notes are right there. More of your calls coming up. Stay here.
Welcome back to Call for Help. Time for our Gmail tip of the day. Now in Gmail, you have the option to view and download an image that you receive. So you can quickly view the image in a larger window, and then you can also download the image to a folder on your system.
Ooh.
And that's it.
Very Gmail-ish.
And now we have another caller. We have Brian on the line from London, Ontario.
I didn't know we had a Gmail tip of the day.
Yeah, we're starting Gmail tips.
Yeah. Do we have any more Gmail accounts to give away?
Loads and loads and loads.
Email Andy at callforhelptv.com.
You know,
I'll send you some, too.
Most of Australia now has a Gmail account thanks to me, I think. all you Australians, my email box is filling up.
Gmail's slowly rolling it out to the public, too. If every once in a while when you go to google.com, you'll say, get a Gmail account, just kind of randomly.
Yeah.
So just keep going to Google, and eventually you'll get it. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm trying to chase down some information on this Firefox forecast item that I have on my computer.
It's one of the plugins you've added to Firefox.
Yeah. And I have downloaded it and installed it, and it comes up with a United States version.
Dang them.
But I cannot get the Canadian version, and since I can't get the Canadian version, it's not a problem. I just eliminate it, and I can't eliminate it.
But now you're stuck with the plugin.
I am so.
Well, first of all, I think it would be fun to see if we could figure out how to make this Firefox plugin, forecast plugin, be for Canada.
Yes.
That would be nice. Have you played with that?
I haven't, no.
Amber was the one who showed it to us, and I haven't played with it. I would bet there's somewhere in the code that you could change what it's using. It's probably using, defaults to a U.S. So
and that's what it does. It defaults to the U.S. settings. I've tried Canada, Ontario, and other things, and it just no.
All right. Well, we're going to have to work on that one. And then, as far as uninstalling it, it should be pretty easy to remove the plugin. I would think we just go to our under the Tools Extensions. You'll see that when you have a plugin, you can press the uninstall button and it'll go away for you.
Okay.
So that will get rid of it. But I would like to find either, maybe we'll have to ask people to email us, but find either a Canadian version of that Forecast extension or a way to modify I think you probably could modify it. I'll have to look at it to see.
Okay.
One more Firefox tip, though, very important right now. Firefox has an update. There were some severe security issues with Firefox that were recently discovered. If you're running Firefox, you'll notice up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little, I don't know what you call it, a circle of dots.
Mm-hmm.
If you click that, it will see if there's an update for you. And in fact, there is. So make sure that if you haven't done that lately, every once in a while, sometimes it'll show a little green thing that says updates are available. In this case, it did not.
Okay, the circle of dots, is that the one that's kind of working in a circle?
Yeah. It's the one that does it's the throbber. But if you click it, it will also tell you if there's a new download. And there is. So you very much, everybody should go to 1.0.4. At least that's the current version as of this taping.
Okay.
Maybe by the time this airs, there might be even a later one. So every once in a while, it's a good idea to check that.
And will I remove all the other ones as well before I install this one?
I do recommend that. Now, in this case, it should just do an upgrade, but in the past, it hasn't always uninstalled itself. So the best way to do that is uninstall Firefox first and then install the new version.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, Brian?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call. We're going to find you a Canadian forecast. That's just not right. And an Australian one, too.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Take care, Brian.
Bye-bye.
Geeks and wannabe geeks have always argued over which browser is the best. Some say Firefox. Some say Safari. You know, it really is just which browser works best for you. And Mikey has one that he likes an awful lot. This is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux.
And a number of other systems even, too. I think there's like
really
10 or 11 that you can install.
And it's free.
Absolutely free.
Advertising supported free.
It's supported advertising, and there's two ways actually when you first load up Opera, install it and load
Opera
up.
is the free file?
Opera is a free file. And so there's two ways. You can either have text, Google ads, or you can have graphical ads.
I like your title, by the way, Technical Researcher.
That's right.
When did we make him a technical researcher?
Oh, I think
long time ago.
I thought he was my personal slave.
Well, that's true. Would you like a coffee, Leo?
Yes, thank you. Later. Do this.
So you can do text or graphic ads. You know, they're both.
That.
They're both. It's very unobtrusive at the very top.
The text
of the,
is much less.
Yeah. You take a look at it now. I'll just.
That's the
select
green part up there.
And it's a green part up there. It's not. You know, it's a tiny little bit. It's not.
Nothing.
It's nothing. Really.
Much better than I think the banner one.
Exactly. And the one thing with Opera is it has a whole bunch of tools that comes with it. I'm just going to load them up now in a second. But you can do all kinds of things, including notes. And I'm just going to load up the main bar here. And you can do all kinds of neat little things. There's a built-in notepad in Opera itself that will allow you to just take notes right in there. So I know, like, when I'm doing it, here's the panels. There's what I'm looking for.
Wait a minute. We're getting banner ads. Is that normal?
Switching over. Yeah. So you can see over here, we have a built-in note program. And I don't know about you, but whenever I'm on the web, I'm always writing things down, websites or little things to remember. So you can just type in, Leo's web page.
Opera's always been great on user interface. They were the first to do tabbed browsing.
Yeah. And then you can just fill your note in there, or web page, perhaps something to check back later on. All those other kinds of things.
And you can search for note context.
You can search for note context. You can do everything. It has a built-in IRC client, so you can chat. For instance, your radio show on the weekends.
Do you use Opera for that?
I don't use Opera. I use XChat on my Mac for that one, actually. But you can connect to your chat and
automatically. Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you, because Opera has always been known for user interface, but has also had problems with compatibility in the past. Not necessarily Opera's fault. In fact, the CEO of Opera is always challenging Microsoft, saying, guys, you're actually designing against us. You're designing stuff that only works with Internet Explorer. Websites should be designed to work with everything, right?
Yeah.
Have you found that Opera is more compatible? Can you go to all the web pages?
I've gone to all the web pages. Some pages look slightly different depending if they're utilizing certain IE code that makes it for IE. Sometimes at the bottom of pages you see made for IE or something like that. Yeah. And you're seeing less and less of that nowadays with Firefox and all these other
people are more
browsers.
aware than they used to be.
Yeah. And they're more aware of testing it on all platforms, making sure it works not on just IE, but
Firefox seems like it's faster. Is it pretty snappy?
You know what? I think they're within
pretty snappy now.
a second. I don't know who can save that second and make use of it, but
Opera is the program available from
our free file section.
Oh, we're going to send them there. We callforhelptv.com.
Yeah.
It's a Norwegian company.
Yeah.
Is it still opera.no? Used to be.
I don't know.
Did the CEO do a swim to...
That's what he promised. If there were more a certain number of downloads, he was going to swim where? To the
You
U.S.
can swim from Norway across to the U.S. Yeah,
I don't think he can do that.
No, he chickened out.
He said he was going to, though.
He jumped in the water and had a swimsuit on, and then suddenly the boat beside him sprung a leak, and he couldn't go on.
The water's wet. Coming up next, Norton System Works. It's the market leader in PC repair tools, but is it the best, Mikey?
I don't know.
We'll find out. Andy's got an alternative when we come back. Before we leave you, it's time, one more time, to take our daily quiz. Here's our question of the day. I think you might know this one. How fast is USB 2.0 anyway? Is it 12 megabits, 180 megabits, 480 megabits, or who cares? FireWire's better anyway. If the website gives us the answer, we'll talk about it when Call for Help continues. Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, how fast is USB was the question of the day, and I do think FireWire is better, but for most things, but it is 480 megabits per second. Now that's nominal. You know, I don't know why it is, but everybody does this with whether it's a modem or FireWire or USB. They all give you their top speed, Ethernet. That's never the speed you get. You ever get 56K on a 56K modem? No. You ever get 400 megabits on FireWire? No. Do you ever get 480 megabits on USB 2? No. You might get half that. And it depends on how many other devices there are and everything. But that's the nominal. That's the rated. The top possible speed. We asked you to send Andy ideas for what you'd like to see him talk about in his segments, and a lot of you asked this question. They don't want to buy Norton System Works. Norton's gotten a worse and worse utility because there's bloatware, there's a lot of stuff on it, and it's expensive. So Andy has found a competitor, and has reviewed it, and will tell us, is it a worthy competitor?
Is it a worthy? It's called Fix-It Utilities 5.
It's been around for a while.
It has been around for a while.
These guys from VCOM are old hands.
They're famous for their multi-boot, what's it called, vCommander,
which I used for years.
Yeah. Now, and the other cool thing about this is not only is it a competitor, but it's cheaper.
Yeah, like that.
Like it's $35 US as opposed to $60 or $70 US.
That's a lot less.
So it's a lot less, right?
Same set of tools?
More!
Lots
more. Let me show you, because there's lots of things to look at on this.
It includes an antivirus, by the way.
It includes, just like SystemWorks comes with Norton antivirus, this comes with an antivirus. We'll start with that.
All right.
Is the antivirus any good?
Is it?
No.
Okay.
It's slow.
But not that I'm recommending Norton's antivirus either, frankly.
No. But you know what? Comparatively speaking,
it's better.
It's better.
Okay. So don't buy this for the antivirus.
Especially if you turn on the email scanning function on this, on the antivirus on this, it is deathly slow.
Oh, that's not good.
Deathly slow. So that's one of the biggest problems with it.
Okay, so we're going to do a little between the two of them in the antivirus thing. Ding, 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 ding.
There you go. Hooray!
Okay,
or
what else?
boo, depending on which way you look at it. Let's go to sort of the core utilities here. There's a bunch of things called Fix Wizards. Now, Norton has this.
I think it's about time we fix Wizards. They've been reproducing far too fast. Too many wizards!
Like rabbits, right?
Yeah.
Fix Wizards. So essentially, this is a step-by-step process to fix your computer, your hard drive, clean up your files, all kinds of things like that. So one of my favorite things is something called Speed Up. Now, this is not far off what SystemWorks kind of has something like this. What I like about the Speed Up Wizard is it's got a technology called IntelliCluster.
IntelliCluster. Now powered by IntelliCluster.
Right. IntelliCluster basically watches what you do with your computer. If you open a lot of Microsoft Word, if you open a lot of, let's say, Photoshop and those kinds of files, next time you defragment, it sorts everything according to the way you behave. So it puts all the files that you access on a regular basis.
Windows is supposed to do that, too.
It's supposed to do that. Doesn't do it. Doesn't do it.
All right.
So let's go back here.
So that's really the defrag tool, is the Speed Up Wizard.
No. That's IntelliCluster. It actually has something called Jet Defrag.
Oh.
So Jet Defrag it's a defragger. I'm going to say no.
Does it have IntelliCluster?
It basically uses IntelliCluster to optimize. It's actually not bad. It's not as fast as I would like it, but it's actually a pretty good
almost
utility.
As good as SpeedDisk. Okay.
Yeah, almost as good. So, I would say both.
Equal.
All right?
Okay.
Let's stop
We're not going to have time to go through all of them.
No, we won't.
Give us just the highlights.
I just want to go to the highlights. So let's go back to one of the things I did want to mention is that it comes with something called PowerDesk. And PowerDesk is basically a utility that replaces the Windows Explorer. So, copying files, moving files, all kinds of things. The key feature in this that I really, really like is something called, let's go to the desktop here. And this is a file that I just don't want. And instead of dragging it, hitting delete and it going to the recycle bin, it actually has a file shredder. So it can actually go down and say destroy.
That's overwriting it and really erasing it, so it can never be recovered.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's really good. And the other thing, of course, it has a built-in encryptor-decryptor.
Oh, I like that, too.
So it's sort of a bonus. It's one of those bonus utilities that, comes outside of the fixed utilities.
Number 2, they got to try harder, right?
They do have to try harder. Sort of like was it Avis?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. So, all in all, a very good suite of tools. It has a very good registry defragmenter. So basically, we'll sort your registry.
That's a good thing.
And just sort of takes everything a little further than say Norton System Works and Norton Utilities.
So the only area that Norton really is superior is, you would say, the antivirus.
The antivirus. Ultimately, too, there's an all-in-one wizard that sort of does everything to your drive.
And you found it made a difference?
No, it's slow. I mean, because what it does is it invokes
so pained.
It invokes jet defrag, and so I would like to say all in one except jet defrag, because I want to fix everything up, but I don't want to sit there for 4 hours and wait for my.
Maybe go to bed when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you recommend this over SystemWorks?
For the price, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and especially for geeks who like to tinker, there's some, like the idea of defragging your registry is a very cool idea.
I do like that.
And cleansing it and all of those things. I mean, Norton System Works and Norton Utilities built in it is good for the fire and forget kind of user.
Right.
Because you just push one button and it does everything.
But this does more for the tweaker.
Yeah, tweakers double thumbs up.
Okay. We know you're all tweakers. For more information on any of these, take on VCOM's Fix-It Utilities. Check out our show notes, callforhelptv.com. And Andy is always looking for more ideas of things that you want to look at. Email him at
Andy@callforhelptv.com.
All right, we're going to show you how to protect yourself in the new Safari. And some final words when we continue. Stay right. Welcome back to Call for Help. I mentioned there's a problem with Safari. This is the demonstration of the page. You just go to this page, and without your permission, it automatically downloads and installs a widget. Now, this widget is harmless. This is just the Zaptastic widget, but it's installed automatically. So what I want to suggest you do is you turn off, this is very important for everybody using Tiger, you go to the preferences and you turn off this particular Tiger preference. It's the open safe files after downloading. Notice the safe is in quotes. They're not necessarily safe. If you turn that off, it means you will have to, of course there's always a trade-off between convenience and security. It means you'll have to manually open files when you download them, but it will prevent that automatic installation. Now, you said that the Firefox extension does work if you enter Toronto?
Yeah, if you go to Options, Scan Code, and enter anything, Andy as a hero, whatever, and it'll error out, and then just type in the city, Toronto, Sydney, Melbourne, whatever you like.
And it should work?
Yeah, it'll work.
Okay.
Good.
So it should work. Hey, thanks for joining us. Go to the website, callforhelptv.com for more information and to be on the show. If you've got a problem with your personal computer, don't wind up on no yell.
Call for help!